or a TV or a PC or tomorrow something else. So how will you ensure that what you build today is going to help you for everything than recreating? So that's the second one. And the third one is how we as a tester community ensure that or help towards no bugs are getting injected to the code. It's an old one, but I think we need a lot more work, a lot more test patterns to be created towards the defect prevention. I think the way the automobile has done, I think we need to do a lot more progress on this. So 3 things.
I'll do my 2P with as well. And almost everything with a power supply is now collecting data. And it's all going somewhere, and I'm not sure where. So this concept of big data, I think it's probably the biggest, it's the elephant in the room. I think it's going to overtake all our lives before we know it. Everybody is going to be working on big data in some respect before too long, either at the collection end or in the analysis or the privacy and the security and the reliability and veracity and the truthfulness of this stuff. I think it's going to affect everybody, and testers are going to be in the middle of that. Okay, so I'm going to throw it open now. So here are the rules. There are no rules, okay? Except, please ask open questions. Don't ask a question like, how old are you? And I'm 32, you know. No, please address your question to the panel and just say, what does the panel think of whatever? Okay, so let's have a hand for a question, please. Shrini, is that Shrini? Yeah. Are we on? Microphone bugs.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Srini Kulkarni. I am from Barclays. My question to the panel is this. The primary objective or a job of a tester, as most of us believe, is finding bugs. Somebody, when I was discussing with on the testing topic, raised this statement that we don't test only for finding bugs. There are other objectives that we need to meet as testers. Today morning, when Julian talked about testing in production and trends that likes of Google and Facebook are doing, it appeared to me that probably one day when the companies acquire the capability to test in production, deploy in production, and do that fast pace of development, if I were to ask, if you leave out the finding bugs from the job description of testers, what is left over?
Okay.
Sorry, what is that?
If you leave out the job of finding bugs from the job description of testers, is there anything left out?
So if testing is squeezed, I think the question is, long questions get short answers. Short questions get long answers. That's my understanding. It puts the people on the spot as well. I think the question is this. If testing is squeezed almost to zero, where do the testers go? What's going to happen?
No, I think
Okay.
That was not the intent.
Okay.
If we were to rediscover the role of testers in the future world, where testing will happen, but if the activity of finding bug is removed from their job description, is there anything left over? Or we are primarily exist to find bugs only?
Okay.
What are the objectives of testing in addition to finding bugs, I think is the question. Is that right?
Yeah. Take that away and what's left?
I think maybe I'll just give it a shot and then. I think the one parlance you can draw with is manufacturing. For example, if you look at manufacturing as an industry, there is a lot of inspection. You had people kind of manning to check the final product. But over time, what has happened is the process got automated to such an extent that the inspection went off and you start controlling the process and you put checkpoints. So where it is possible in the testing community is you control those processes. I see testers doing the process improvement area, automation as another one, so that their effort is reduced and then they're able to significantly invest in other areas. That's the other thing that I see. If you draw a comparison with respect to manufacturing and the software automation. Yeah, that's.
Jump in on that?
Yeah.
I would say even to pop that up a level, I think those are good in the sense of means to an end, but I think if you say what are the objectives beyond finding defects, I think it comes down to things like reducing risk and building confidence and providing information, right? And the better we get as a profession, software engineering profession, at not putting bugs in and, you know, having this counterproductive thing where we put a bunch of bugs in and have to pull a bunch of bugs out at great cost, then if you get beyond that, we'll start to get to have testing really about building confidence, reducing risk, and providing information. And hopefully less and less we spend time measuring our value by how many bugs did we find.
Does that mean the image makeover for testers? If you were starting to the process of removing the risk as opposed to informing about the risk, is testing role, you know, kind of getting a makeover?
Well, I would actually imagine that the role of testers today becomes all-pervading, and it's really, really important in any product cycle, I would think. And I don't think a tester's role can ever get reduced. It's only increasing with the kind of products that are coming out today. So I don't believe in the fact that it's all about finding bugs. I think it's, as he rightly pointed out, it's all about quality of product at the end of the day. And testers, I think, share as much of a responsibility as a developer in ensuring the end quality of a product. And this being the last phase of any design cycle, I think it's a very, very key phase. And I don't ever think of the importance of testers coming down in any product life cycle, really. I mean, that's my 2 cents.
One shift which I would just add up for the benefit of the crowd out here. Slowly, what I'm seeing is that few of the so-called front runners company in technology, they have stopped differentiating between tester and developer. They say everybody is software engineers, which they map their skill set to and say that you are a software engineer who can develop certain piece of code and bring product to life. And you are a software engineer who can do testing rather than finding bugs, but you can do testing in several other ways, which is around building confidence via unit testing, via some functional testing code piece, via some web services integration testing. So what I see it as why I said that now the time are gone by when we were happy with domain expertise. And if we have to survive for long, then the definition of testing still remains there. Basics still are intact. It is more about gaining the confidence over the product, but the path changes, which is towards more automated means, getting it faster to the market, getting the things known faster in the cycle of development process.
Okay, any more? I'll give you my pitch. I can't be shut up because I'm the chair. I think we have to be separate. I think what's happening out there, and I said this last night, partly, I think we need to separate the role of testing from the activity of testing. And I think the activity of testing is being redistributed, and the role, I think we have to find our role again. It's not necessarily at the end, and I think most organizations are looking to take advantage of putting testing where it counts, which is higher up, further up the life cycle. And no one should argue with that. Our challenge is how we find our role in that new structure. On the subject of finding bugs, I really hate it when people say the purpose of testing is finding bugs. We do so much more than that. And the way I look at it is our role is to demonstrate achievement or to address risk. Are we where we believe we should be, or have we addressed the risk of failure? Those are the 2 things that matter at board level. And that's the language we should use, I think, up there. Thanks, Screening. Next, right. You've got the mic, so you, obviously you, sir. You have the power.
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, I just wanted to know, what are the... hello?
Bug.
What are the 3 key things which, as a tester or a testing team, should not get involved with?
3 things we should not get involved in.
Yes.
3 things testers should never do?
Yes. Yes.
Excellent.
Top
Excellent.
3 things.
Yes, well, this is a rich source of...
I'm
Top
afraid
3
to take
things,
this
actually.
question. I'm going to end up offending somebody for sure.
absolutely.
3 things testers should never do. Be a process cop. I'll go back to one of my presentations, right? That we should not take it upon ourselves to boss other people around and tell them how to do their job. I also think testers should not be a quality cop. I don't think that we should get in the way of releases that make perfect sense from a business point of view and arrogate upon ourselves the unilateral responsibility for being, quote unquote, the only people who care about quality in this damn place, which I've heard too many people, too many testers say about themselves. The third thing that testers should never do is be a disgrace to the profession. So I'll give you an extreme example of that. We had some fellow in Massachusetts in 2007, a software tester, I'm afraid, who got laid off and decided that the right way to respond to that was to return to his workplace the next day with a gun and shoot a bunch of people. So please, don't ever do that, because we've got enough trouble as professional software testers without anyone bringing bad disgrace onto our reputations.
I think a tester should never compromise quality of product, so.
Offer one if you want. No problem. You don't have to have three, so keep them coming.
Yeah, I would say that don't harp too much upon that if you have logged a bug, then a developer should certainly agree to the fact that yes, it's a bug. Be open towards the fact for a discussion, and try learning through that process of testing and add value to the whole system, right? So.
You mean compromise?
No compromise. No compromise. I'm saying that,
That's
let
not
us say.
Because,
compromise, right?
she-
That's really about debate and.
No, the one
coming
she
to
said
an
and you
agreement.
saying both are contradictory, right?
I don't
She said
think
you
so.
should not even sign up, but
I
you
don't
are saying.
think so. I don't think so. I think they're probably complementary. I'm saying don't compromise on the quality of product.
Right.
And I think what he's really trying to say is, if there is, for a fact that what you've logged in is not a bug, then be open to reverting on that and, indulging in healthy debate and discussion with the developer.
And I would say that, in my experience, 2 locations, it is not about people or country, but specifically in India and China, I have seen that when you log a bug, it has to be accepted. So, that does not sound right somewhere.
That's not just India and China. I mean, I've heard in plenty of places, like
Think
in
about
North
it.
America too, testers talking about, it's important that my bugs get fixed. And anytime I hear those 2 words together, my bugs, I'm like, okay, there's a problem.
Exactly.
So on the subject of bugs, just let me chip in. A bug is not a thing. A bug is a relationship between somebody and the product. Somebody thinks this is wrong, it doesn't suit them. But somebody else might say this is perfectly acceptable. And we have to be careful as a tester. We are taking judgments on behalf of other people initially, but it's not our call, usually. So we have to be careful about it. It's not a thing, okay? There's a thing, this reification idea. We try and build a relationship into a thing that's tangible. A bug is not tangible in that way. A bug report is tangible, but the bug is not. So don't get too hung up on bugs, okay? Don't do.
So I would like to add a few more things to this. One is, this based on my experience. As a tester, I think we should not stick to a tool or a framework or a language which has given you success in your previous project or previous success. So don't stick to just your expertise or your skills. Adapt to what is the need for the situation. So that's one. The second one, which I feel we should try to do is, when you are in an agile kind of a community, Scrum kind of a community, don't think that, I think which we should not do is, hey, give me X amount of time for my testing. Rather, we should kind of adapt to this evolving way of test early, test often. So I think the way things are happening, if companies like Facebook, Google, or Yahoo, we push code to production every day. So I'm seeing that is changing. So there are some of the older testers will tell you, give me 2 days of testing or 1 week of testing. That's not going to happen. So don't stick to that fact that you're going to a fixed amount of testing. How will you adapt to that? So there are 2 things which I think we should not stick to.
Any more? Should we move on? Let's move on. Okay, next. Who's got the mic? Who's got the power? Sorry.
Hi, everyone. Anand Bagmar from ThoughtWorks. Given that the theme of the conference is really next generation testing, there are a couple of trends that are almost reality now. It's being used in various different fields, like virtual glass of sorts, or Google Glass is another thing. We've seen 6 Sense, which has been developed as an MIT project, which is also already used probably in oil industries of sort. That to me is truly the next generation of devices or technology that is coming up. What is your opinion in terms of how are we going to get ready for testing these kind of products, hardware, software combination? What do we need to do to get ready for that?
That sounds like a very broad
I
question.
think it's part of the extension of mobility. If you look at all this, what is happening is an extension of mobility in different forms. And sixth sense, I think the ability of people to do connect multiple devices, those components of interoperability, testing and all that would be the critical one. So mobility as an extension, if you take that and build on it, I think some of this would get covered. That's the thing that I see.
And just to add to this, as I said, I am again reiterating my point. Come closer to code. Don't look your job from too far. Samsung TV looks very nice from far. But if you are testing it, you can't actually test it from so far. So as you said, those three technologies which are emerging, if you are testing them in-house, which is that you are developing and testing, you actually have access to all the source code. You actually have access to the people who are designing those source code. So you do not have to think upon the fact that I'll be testing it in the fashion I tested Oracle applications, right? So therefore, technology-wise, it will always evolve. You can't say that this is the end of evolution of technology. But what very critical in this journey would be, am I knowing that whether my strength still today are my strengths, or do I have to start early to build a new strength?
Well,
I would.
Well, I just wanted to add to that. I thought it was an awesome question, firstly. And I mean, considering the fact that I've been very close with what was developed at MIT for this particular, on Sixth Sense. So this is what I was saying earlier on. It's all about quality of service at the end of the day. And I think today, I mean, if I look at the entire ecosystem of partners that we have, it's the operator who's trying to define a whole lot of these things, right? And he's pushing test all the way down to every component that is part of a product, right? So whether it is a chipset vendor, so if we're talking about voice over LTE, we're talking about carrier aggregation, whatever it is, it actually gets pushed in from the, into the chipset. The chipset actually gets tested for all of this. Then again, at the device level or the platform level, there is the next level of testing that gets done, and this is at the product level, both hardware and software. And then you have the next level of testing, which is really in an operator network, and that's where all these aspects of interoperability and so on come in. So I really think for the next generation technologies, testing as as a service has actually become very, very robust at every level. And I think every part of that ecosystem is really trying to ensure that the end product works seamlessly in a certain environment, right? So I think next generation testing is all about, all these components of the ecosystem working seamlessly and ensuring, the quality of service. So whether it can be Sixth Sense, it can be something else. I mean, it can be all these applications, cool applications around gestural analysis. It can be anything. I mean, it's all about that particular software working with a certain generation of device and testing it out across all these technologies, whether it is LTE, whether it is 3G, or 5G that could probably come in next.
Thank you. Just a very quick follow-up. Sorry. So I think if going by the logic, if it's just you need to be close to code, then what we are talking about, big data, cloud, mobile, that is irrelevant as new emerging technologies. As long as you're close to code, there's nothing really different. We've been testing databases before. The quantity or the style of databases has now just become huge. That's the only difference, right?
Maybe.
What we are really saying is there's evolution happening in terms of products, technologies, tools that are there. And we need to be thinking in probably slightly different fashion. Right now, in my mind, I'm not clear what that thought process should be. Tying it back to what Srini was asking about what should be that role of tester, is it just about finding bugs? Or if it's not about finding bugs, what it is? In my mind, I would actually be looking at in terms of what is the product I'm